Dave, with Yoshinobu today, what were you just seeing from him and how he was executing his pitches and navigating through their lineup?
I thought he was in complete control. I think even today didn't have feel for his curveball. Kept using it, which I like, but never really got a handle on it. But the split, the fastball, all that stuff were great. And then obviously for us to catch a lead, and attack on a little bit. Andy's homer was big. But yeah, I thought Yoshi was in complete control today.
When you're looking at just what not only the rotation is able to do right now, but really what the bullpen is doing. I mean, to see just the continuation, the constant building on these really clean outings, what is that just kind of, what are you seeing from this group and what is it saying about them right now?
I think it's confidence. Regardless of who we run out there, when we run them out there, they all just seem confident. And I think, again, when you have a lot of guys in the pen that are confident throwing the baseball well, you can spread out the usage. And so, they all seem rested. They're all anxious to get out there and pitch and perform.
Kyle Tucker's OPS is almost to 800 now over the last few weeks. What have you seen from him that feels more Kyle Tucker-like?
Well, one thing is he's hitting lefties, which he's always done throughout his career. He got a big triple today, a big hit, but he's gotten a lot of big hits for us, and I think that's one part of it. I think that, I haven't dug into the numbers, but I do think his chase rate is down considerably in the last couple of weeks, and he's getting into good counts, and he's making, more solid contact.
We're leaving a lot of runners on the first few innings, but how much did it help us kind of drain that starting pitcher so he finally kind of ran out of gas there?
It was great. It was great. That's kind of a hallmark of what we do, and I think even this series from the outset, we got into the pen, used our leverage guys for multiples in a game that we ended up losing, and we did it again yesterday and today. So I think today, like you said, we did get to the starter, wasn't efficient, taking our walks when needed, and then we got to their lower leveraged arms, and that's a good recipe right there.
What do you think has kind of prompted going back to Kyle, just the plate discipline and the pitch selection that's been better?
I don't know. I know that he's built trust with the hitting guys, and there's a lot more back and forth conversations. No one, I would assume, doesn't want to chase out of the strike zone, especially with his DNA of controlling the zone. I think his mechanics are much more in sound and kind of where he wants to be. But I still think there's more in there. And I know he's not feeling perfect. But to speak to, the question earlier is that he's still, over the last couple weeks, has been really productive. But I think that the conversations, just being more comfortable in the batter's box.
How much did Andy throwing out Terang in the third inning change the outcome of the game?
It was a big play, man. He's, the overall player, the WAR, the defensive value, not only getting to baseballs, but the plays that he makes, he's got to be up there in league leading in assists by outfielders. It's a strong arm, it's an accurate arm, and it definitely flipped the momentum.
When you look at this road trip as a whole, just what were you most pleased with?
I think I was probably most pleased with, we took care of business in Anaheim with the offense. San Diego was an emotional series that I think we lost the first one, came back. So I think, the last two series, we lost the first one, came back to win both series. But I think I'm probably most proud of the bullpen as far as kind of what they've been doing. Because there's a lot of different guys that are the reason why they've been so successful recently. And I think the offensive fight is better this road trip. Well, it keeps us in first place, I think. I just think it's like, we've passed a lot of tests. What does that do? I think it just kind of, gets us back to winning series, builds a little momentum, come home and, hopefully play well in front of our fans, and to just kind of, go into June playing really good baseball.
Missing at the plate?
He's back to chasing. I think he's passive when he shouldn't be, and then he's getting into bad counts. And I don't know if it's a mechanical thing, but he's been kind of grinding the last, quite honestly, the last month. It's been kind of tough for him, but he's playing good defense, which is great. He's a great teammate, which he always is, and he's preparing, competing, but right now it's just not working.
Is he going to be part of this conversation with Kike coming back?
I don't know. Well, he'll be a part of it, because there's just, obviously, we got to make a decision. Obviously, with, I'm hopeful that Max is not going to be on the IL, and you got one spot, and you're talking, Espinal and seeing the value that he brings to our ball club and kind of the coverage, and obviously with Kim being an infielder, so we're, so that's kind of where we're at, in all honesty, but. Love both those guys, but we got to make a tough decision.
For Max, is the thought for him to have another image tomorrow on that hand, or do you guys feel like you're past that and just hoping to pick up the bat tomorrow?
I think I don't know necessarily know if we're past that, but I don't think we're going to do it tomorrow. I think that his improvement from yesterday to today speaks to we'll kind of kick the can on that one.